Tonight on CFTK-TV, Prime Minister Trudeau steps down up until March 24th. Local politicians react to what's next in the federal parliament, and Air Canada passengers now have to pay for carry-on bags.
Northwest BC's only television news team. We are CFTK-TV News.
Hello, I'm Damien Smith. Thank you for joining us here on CFTK-TV. We begin with our biggest headline in the country, and that is Prime Minister Trudeau resigning from his role, which he announced just yesterday. He will be in power up until March 24th, and now the next question arising is who will be the next federal leader for the Liberal government? Judy Trin of CTV News has more of the details going forward.
Why not earlier?
The Prime Minister did not respond to the question of why he didn't quit sooner, but after facing a caucus revolt in the fall, Justin Trudeau caved on a winter's day.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader.
That means Trudeau will still be on the job until the end of March, despite his sinking popularity.
The long leadership race and leaving Justin Trudeau as the face of the party are risks to the monumental challenge that confronts them.
The Liberal Party's board of directors will meet later this week to set out the rules of the race. For now, contenders are thanking Trudeau for his leadership on social media, including former Finance Minister Chrystia Freeland, who forced this moment.
I had really hoped that she would agree to continue as my Deputy Prime Minister and take on one of the most important files that not just this government but this country is facing. But she chose otherwise.
Freeland's resignation and attack on the government's spending priorities have catapulted her to the top of the list, ahead of former Bank of Canada Governor Mark Carney.
There's been some damage done to the party, whoever you ascribe fault to. And that's something that we have to, frankly, resolve over the next weeks as we unify around a leadership process that is yet to be decided.
At least 9 people are interested in the top job, among them several women and 5 current cabinet ministers and a former BC premier.
This is going to be a really exciting period where we are going to have high caliber individuals say that they want to lead the country and become the next Prime Minister of Canada and help to meet the moment.
And although Trudeau's resignation may have come as a shock to some, 2 Northwest politicians are saying it's been in the works for a while. Here's Jaylee Matthews with CFTK-TV.
Both MP for Skeena-Bulkley Valley Taylor Bachrach and the current federal Conservative candidate for Skeena-Bulkley Valley Ellis Ross say Trudeau's resignation comes as no surprise.
Really, it was an untenable position where, a party that is so focused on their own inner workings and problems isn't in a position to defend the country at a time that is a really difficult one for Canada. When we look at what's happening south of the border and the threat of tariffs, this is an incredibly challenging time. So I'm glad to see that he finally made that tough decision. I think there's a real sense of relief in our communities. And now we're in a position to reflect on what it means to be Canadian and how we move forward together as a region and as a country.
Basically, what surprised me was it took so long. I mean, close to a year. And 8 confidence votes in the House of Commons to get to this day. So that's what really surprised me.
Ross says that the loss of the NDP's confidence over the holidays may have played into Trudeau's move.
The letter that went out from the NDP leader just over the holidays said that they had no confidence in the federal Liberal government. That might have had something to do with it, but you got to remember, the federal Liberal MPs were also voicing their discontent with the leadership that they were undergoing as well. So I think it was a combination of everything happening at the same time over the past year that actually led to that.
Bachrach says that in the current climate, he expects a spring election.
Oh, I have no doubt that we'll have an election this spring. I imagine it'll be early May. It looks like that's the timing that we're looking at. In many ways, it was unfortunate that the Prime Minister chose to prorogue Parliament because this is a very tenuous time when we see President-elect Bush coming in south of the border, threatening unprecedented tariffs and a situation that we haven't seen ever, really, when it comes to our southern neighbor. This is a time when we need a strong government in place that can stand up for Canadian values and Canadian jobs, and Parliament is part of that. So while there is still a federal government in place, the parliamentary oversight and the checks and balances that come with our parliamentary system won't be back in operation until March. So it's going to be a challenging time when it comes to the governance of our country.
For CFTK-TV News in Terrace, I'm Jaylene Matthews.
And in local news, a report from BC Assessment disclosed that Terrace is home to 6 residential properties that are top 100 in terms of value in the North Central's BC's property assessments. Every Terrace property on that list are located in the lakefront neighborhood, and the report also mentioned that the average value of Terrace's single-family homes has increased by 8% from $448,000 to $484,000. Property value information for other municipalities can also be found in the list as well. Now moving on to south of the border, it was also a busy day yesterday in their shift of power as Donald Trump is now set to serve his second term. With tension on tariffs at the Canada and U.S. border and the Trudeau resignation, there will be a lot to watch in the next coming weeks. Here's Joy Malbin from CTV News in Washington, D.C.
In the quiet of a snowstorm and massive security, Vice President Kamala Harris certified the election she lost for Donald Trump.
Has received 312 votes.
A peaceful transfer of power, far cry from 4 years ago when a mob of Trump supporters violently attacked the Capitol to stop Joe Biden's victory. But Trump wasted no time wading into Canada's political turmoil, trolling Justin Trudeau, saying many people in Canada love being in the 51st state. If Canada merged with the U.S., there would be no tariffs, taxes would go way down. Together, what a great nation it would be. Trump says he'll slap tariffs as high as 25% on all Canadian imports on day one. And renegotiating the free trade deal is on the table. Justin Trudeau's mini summit to Mar-a-Lago in November with promises to secure Canada's border only brought on more mocking. Trudeau's resignation, say Canada watchers, leaves Ottawa in a precarious spot.
There's no invasion. The U.S. will not do anything drastic. Trump is going to be so quick to hit the ground running, and Canada should be running along with, able to negotiate out of negative consequences like tariffs.
MAGA world, including Elon Musk, Trump's billionaire buddy, doing a victory dance. 2025 is looking good. Trump won, Trudeau resigned. But all this talk of becoming American has stiffened some Canadian spines.
I think it's a little ridiculous that he thinks he can start taking over the world.
I think Canada's great as it is.
Trump has urged Wayne Gretzky to run, and some senior Republicans still aren't sure who Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre is, leaving Canada little time to be ready.
So the question is, who will be in charge in Canada, and will they be in a position to really respond and defend Canadian interests?
And a recent article on the City of Terrace's website disclosed that the Terrace Community Forest LLP is currently accepting grant applications for 2025. Anyone with a recreational opportunity located somewhere within the areas of the Terrace Community Forest will get top consideration for funding. Those looking to apply can do so by emailing a grant application to hayworth@citywest.ca. Applications will stop being considered tomorrow at 4:30 p.m. Coming up next, citizens in British Columbia react to the resignation of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Welcome back. Well, in provincial reactions, we have updates from BC citizens as well as provincial politicians of what they think of the Trudeau resignation. CTV's Rob Buffum has a story.
In Victoria, reaction to the political bombshell in Ottawa was mixed.
I think it's a good thing for Canada.
I'm going to be sorry to see him go.
But there's no denying many say it's time for the Prime Minister to go.
It's great news. It should have happened long ago.
It seems to be that his golden glow has worn off.
Premier Eby not speaking with reporters today, instead posting this on X. While we didn't always agree, I want to thank Justin Trudeau for his service. We worked on many important issues, including partnering to lower the cost of childcare for families. Today, we must come together to protect Canadian workers and businesses against U.S. tariff threats. BC Conservative leader John Rustad didn't mince words.
Justin Trudeau has turned a country of Canada into a have-not country, similar to what David Eby's doing in British Columbia, turning us into a have-not province.
Why would you want to cozy up and be seen with someone who's now exiting the stage and exiting under a real dark cloud, an embattled leader whose own party is turned on him?
After nearly a decade in power, facing a mutiny in caucus and sagging polls, former colleague Jody Wilson-Raybould tweeted about today's news. Trudeau was sadly not too gracious, adding, "Now we can finally turn the page." Current colleagues, including BC MPs, say they think Trudeau should have resigned earlier, but the party can still win with a new leader.
The best time to plant an apple tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is now. And so the best time for Mr. Trudeau to have stepped down might have been as much as 2 years ago.
Now we take a look at the weather forecast for tonight and the upcoming week. For tonight's forecast in Prince Rupert, after a windy day of wind gusts up to 110 kilometers per hour, it should die down a little. Tonight's conditions on the coast should see clouds in the sky with a 60% chance of showers, and there should be a low of 5 degrees. In the Terrace and Kitimat region, there should be some rain tonight, followed up by just cloudy conditions. There should be winds from the south at 30 kilometers per hour and hitting peaks at 60 kilometers before becoming lighter later in the evening, and 1 degree will be the case. The Bulkley Valley and Lakes District should be cloudy with a 60% chance of flurries ending sometime later after midnight. There should be light winds at 15 kilometers per hour and a low of -7. Now on to your weekly weather forecast. Prince Rupert should see a drop off as the week goes on, with most days having a good chance of showers. The low will be 2 degrees on Saturday night and the high will be 9 degrees on Thursday during the afternoon. The Terrace and Kitimat region should see mostly rain and showers this week, other than Saturday, which may have some periods of snow in there, and there may even be sunny days on Sunday as well, and the low will be -4 on Sunday night and the high will be 4 degrees on Friday. Finally, the Bulkley Valley should see some snow and flurries, with the busiest time being tomorrow night, and the low will be -8 on Sunday night and the high will be 1 degree on Thursday and Friday. And now on to your Northwest Roadside report. For more updates, make sure to check out Drive BC. On Highway 16, there is water pooling, a travel advisory, road maintenance, freezing rain, utility work, and slippery sections throughout. Highway 37 has a travel advisory and freezing rain from Kitwanga to Miziaden Junction, as well as around the Terrace and Kitimat Airport, compact snow and slippery sections. Highway 37A has slippery sections. Highway 118 has slushy sections. The Nishka Highway has a travel advisory and slippery sections. Telegraph Creek Road has slippery sections. And here are what the cameras were looking like around the Northwest. Still to come, Air Canada passengers react to carry-on bags now being a financial charge. Hello again. Well, with a busy amount of flights in the last week, it is expected that air travel should have a dip for a little while. And with 2025 now in place, more stats and updates are now relevant to the public. Here's Sarah Plowman with CTV News.
Punctuality and air travel don't always match, but Canada's 2 largest airlines are lagging, landing last on a list among 10 of North America's major airlines that measures how often flights are on time.
As a frequent flyer, I do often find that there are a lot of delays.
WestJet was bottom of the list. Last year, 71% of its more than 192,000 flights arrived on time. Air Canada ranked 9th of 10, fewer than 72% of its flights on time last year, of more than 385,000. Both carriers made progress from the year before, but it's still unacceptable, says this expert.
So there's something systemically wrong with the way in which they plan and dispatch aircraft.
A former Air Canada executive notes Canada's weather doesn't help, and neither does a lack of spending on airports.
Unless Canada gets serious about the investments needed into infrastructure to ensure better operating performances by Canada's air carriers, then we will continue to be at the bottom of the list.
Adding to traveler dissatisfaction, new baggage fees. As of this weekend, buying a basic fare ticket on an Air Canada flight in North America or to a sun destination will cost more if you bring a carry-on larger than a purse or a computer bag. $35 for the first bag and $50 for a second.
It's all about the money, isn't it?
I'm tired of people getting on the plane with two carry-ons that are as big as almost a suitcase.
Air Canada has justified it by saying other airlines have done it, like WestJet and Porter.
We are unbundling our services, selling separately the different services so people can buy what they want and not buy what they don't need.
A resident of a BC Kootenay community said that their village is on a knife's edge despite a reprieve from ferry service disruptions. Deborah Johnson said no one in Glades households feels assured, despite Western Pacific Marine saying that their local ferry will run normally this week and indefinitely. According to Johnson, the cable ferry services serves as its only link to basic life necessities, and a dispute between Western Pacific Marine and union workers threatens to reduce sailings dramatically. Johnson said residents rely on the ferry to access everything from school and health care to work, and the BC Labour Relations Board's decision to allow expanded strike action hasn't comforted residents. And it's another classic internet scam, and that is website copying on investments. Pat Foran from CTV News has more on this story.
This to me was entirely shocking that, assets could be lost so quickly.
Art asked that we use only his first name. About 3 years ago, he decided to invest in cryptocurrencies with a company called Kraken. He left money in the account untouched for almost 2 years. When he went to sign in to check on his investments, he did a Google search.
And look for Kraken. The first one that came up, I clicked on that, and it was branded the same colors.
The website Art clicked on was actually a fake spoofed Kraken website. Once he entered his sign-in information, his account was drained within minutes. Art says $100,000 was stolen from his account. When CTV News reached out to Kraken, the company said, "We are sorry for what happened, and we encourage all clients to be extremely careful what they click and ensure they are only utilizing Kraken.com." A law firm that specializes in helping investors who have been defrauded in cryptocurrency scams says once crypto assets have been stolen, they're almost impossible to recover.
In an average week in my small firm, I get maybe 40 people a week calling my office telling me they've been defrauded in this type of crypto scam.
In Art's case, the RCMP determined his money was transferred out of the country and is untraceable. He says losing $100,000 has been devastating for his family.
This is money that we don't have that's spare. I have 3 kids and, I got to put them through college. It's quite disrupting in the family.
And now we take a look at the stock market, where we see an increase in commodities and a drop in indexes. The Canadian dollar is up 0.4 of a penny. The price of gold is up $18. For commodities, oil is up 69 cents, natural gas is down 22 cents, aluminum is up $5.50. For the indexes, it is down 69 and 90 points. For the TSX, the Venture Index is down 5.28, Dow Jones is down 178, and NASDAQ is down 375. Still ahead, a friendly sea otter has appeared on Vancouver Island and is becoming a local celebrity in the area. Welcome back. For our final story on federal politics, we take a look at Justin Trudeau's history as the Prime Minister of Canada. Once again, here's Alison Bamford of CTV News.
Justin Trudeau grew up in the spotlight, often side by side with his father, then Prime Minister Pierre Elliott Trudeau. There was pressure for him to pursue politics, but in this 1995 interview with Sandy Ronaldo, he set the record straight.
Never. I'm going to be a teacher.
A few years after that interview, Trudeau was back in the public eye when his brother Michel died in a 1998 avalanche, and 2 years later, he gave the eulogy at his father's funeral. Trudeau married Sophie Gregoire in 2005. They started a family around the same time he entered politics. In 2008, Trudeau captured his first seat in Parliament.
Justin.
The MP proved he could punch above his weight in a charity boxing match win, and by 2013, Trudeau became leader of the Liberals, catapulting the party from third place to a majority government in 2015.
Sunny ways, my friends.
But his first mandate wasn't all sunny. A 2016 vacation violated the Conflict of Interest Act, and a visit to India became the butt of jokes for late-night talk shows. Then there was the SNC-Lavalin scandal and the high-profile resignations of Jody Wilson-Raybould and Jane Philpott, along with this resurfaced photo during the 2019 campaign.
Should have known better, but I didn't, and I'm really sorry.
Trudeau's Liberals survived that campaign and a third election with minority wins. He led Canadians through COVID-19 and invoked the Emergencies Act that ended the Freedom Convoy. In 2023, Trudeau's personal life once again made headlines. He and Sophie were separating after 18 years of marriage. As leader, Trudeau leaves behind a legislative legacy that includes marijuana legalization, the carbon tax, medical assistance in dying, $10 a day childcare, and universal dental care. The Prime Minister says it was his fight for a better Canada that kept him in the game. Alison Bamford, CTV News.
Well, down on Vancouver Island, a sea otter has appeared in friendly circumstances, but experts still want to push caution when encountering this species. Brennan Strain from CTV News has our final story of the day.
On Souk's Whiff and Spit, a sea otter has been gaining a lot of attention from locals.
Potentially curious.
Its gender is unknown, but it has no fear of people. Last week, it was seen hanging with some surfers, even jumping on a board.
I just thought I'd give him a name, so I named him Whiffin.
Yesterday, Carrie Ray snapped these photos of the otter, although this one in particular started a conversation on social media.
There is wildlife around that they take steps to protect their pets.
There have been incidents in the past of sea otters attacking dogs.
Now, Curious Whiffin has drawn the attention of Wildwise and DFO.
They can bite and become aggressive if they feel threatened, both to people and pets.
Sea otters are known to carry diseases that can be transmittable to humans and their pets. That has Wildwise asking dog owners to take precautions.
Keeping dogs on leash and under control is really, really important.
I think I'll keep them on leash if there's an aggressive otter.
Just to be vigilant and do your best not to interact with it, so it hopefully extinguishes this behavior itself.
Paul Cottrell is with DFO and says he was at this year's polar bear swim at Whiff and Spit just to make sure the sea otter didn't get too close to those taking the plunge.
And of course there wasn't.
DFO says it's going to continue to monitor Whiffin on the spit, and if he becomes too much of a nuisance, DFO would consider relocating it.
These animals aren't easy to capture and transport, so we're going to monitor.
When you choose to live in a place like Souk, where you're part of the wilderness and wildlife, that you have to find a way to live in harmony with wildlife.
By keeping your distance from Whiffin, the curious and potentially a little too friendly sea otter. Brendan Strain, CTV News, Souk.
And that'll be all for our cast tonight. Thank you very much for tuning in, and good night.